Well, when the crisis hits, does the leader change their style of leadership? Do they go from being participatory or to autocratic? Does it change at all? Should it change? Doctor, you want to start, please?
I knew that you were going to ask that, or probably ask that question, and I actually gave that a lot of thought. And actually, no, your style isn't going to change, but you are going to make decisions more rapidly, and there will be times during a critical incident where you're just making the decision and you just don't have time to ask everybody for their opinion. But if you've worked with these people, you kind of know what they're thinking, and if the people are really good, they'll be bouncing ideas off you as you're working through.
Thank you. And can I add on to that too, the other panelists? Is there a particular style of leadership that is better during a time of crisis than others?
I think being calm, being able to collect your thoughts, being able to be as participative as you can, given the circumstances, is helpful, because then it's not like you're coming in and dictating what's going to happen. If it's a protracted incident and the decisions being made aren't life or death, that you have a little bit of time, to the degree that you can put together a small group of people in a trailer or a briefing room or whatever and say, okay, here's where I'm thinking of going, what do you think? That goes a long way with your senior leadership team, but it also gives you things that at times of high stress or fatigue that maybe you're just not picking up on. And it's the things like notifying the internal audience, that when you're thinking about family notifications, you're thinking about arresting the suspect, you're thinking about 100 different things. Everybody brings something to the table. Some people will show up and they're rested, they're ready to roll, and use that as a strength.
Good. Colleen?
I do think that there are times when situational leadership is applicable, and I know it's a leadership style that is used in order to sort of diagnose, if you will, or assess the strengths and weaknesses of people as they are recently promoted. And then you look at that over time and develop performance goals. And so some people need a lot of coaching. Some people maybe need a lot of direction when they're first brand new in an assignment because they don't necessarily have all of the knowledge to get the job done. So you give and take depending upon the person. I think that philosophy applies in a critical incident because some people, it may be their first. It may be their first dead body. It may be their first knowledge of someone being harmed. And even though we can train on those things happening, the first time you feel it and see it and it's real, it's surreal. And therefore, some people need a little more direction. They need to be given some specific duties to keep them focused, or they shut down. So again, the training ahead of time helps people to know that might happen, but it also gives the leader the capacity to know which people may need a little more direction, and you team them up with someone who's been there, done that. So you have a plan in place, you know how to execute it. In those incidents, as what has been said before, you end up with, like at least in our environment, you have the district attorney show up with an in-custody death review. You might have the healthcare agency, you have the coroner's office, and they all want a briefing from you in 30 minutes. And as the chief of the organization, you have to give a briefing. Well, if you've got your team in place and they know how to keep things going on the outside so that the briefing can take place, the management of the event will continue to move forward and not grow another head and a new crisis because people don't know or they shut down. So I think situational leadership does come into play, but you as the leader would already have thought about that because you care about it coming out successfully, so you've trained for that and you've reflected on that. The other thing is to have, I think, very clear policy and procedure, kind of that checklist, if you will, because you as the leader should be following that as well, because down the road, when litigation hits, that is what is going to give the structure as to how you reacted to the event. You reacted based upon training, the procedures of the department, the law, etc., the procedures of the county. And that's what helps people stay focused when these things happen.